Hi guys, this is GSMDome and I'm here with the unboxing of the small Pixel, the Google Pixel 9. Fresh after unboxing the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, we have this model here, which is the most affordable of the bunch, $799. We also have a case for it, and also for the Pixel 9 Pro, because they have the same diagonal and pretty much the same size. Okay, so the small one is catered towards competing with the iPhone 16 that's coming in September. As you can see, this time it has a glossy finish, not the matte one from the Pixel 9 Pro XL, but the frame is matte. Still, it's aluminum and glass, the same materials, but the phone is much more compact. With your eyes closed in the hand, it feels like a combination of the Huawei Pura 70 and an iPhone 15, 14 or even 13. Okay, so let's fire it up. It doesn't have Android 15 on board, as it should. Usually a Pixel comes with the latest Android, because it was launched earlier than usual on August 13. What's different from the Pro? Even though they have the same diagonal, this one doesn't have an LTPO panel, doesned have a temperature sensor, doesn't have a periscope camera, has less RAM on board, and at the same time is well, spec'd a bit differently when it comes to the camera setup. At the front, for example, doesn't have a 42 megapixel camera, it sticks with a 10 megapixel shooter. Now, before we get into that, it's an unboxing, so let's see what's inside the box, even though we don't have much on account of the whole, eco-friendly thing. Okay, so let me start off with this one here. So here we have the manual and everything you need to know about the device. I'm pretty sure there will be the SAR value here somewhere. And of course, a key used to access the slot. It's a nano SIM, but you can also opt for eSIM. Okay, and of course, there's no charger. I'm going to have to buy that separately. And the charging is a bit slower than the one we got on the recently unboxed Pixel 9 Pro XL. And here we have the cable going from USB-C to USB-C. And we also bought separately for about something like 40 or 30 euros the case for the handset, original Team Pixel case, soft touch material, feeling a bit like the one of the original Apple variety. Okay, so it snaps on like this. Be careful if you have greasy palms and you're eating a lot of KFC or McDonald's, the grease will show on this type of finish. It's pretty beefy, this type of case, and also rather ergonomic and completes the camera design at the back nicely, which by the way resembles a robot from the Futurama series. Animated series. Okay, so first and foremost, the design. So once again, it feels like an iPhone 15 or 16 combined with a Huawei Pura 70. It's built like a tank, it's very premium, but the bezels are quite larger than the ones I've seen even on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. It's got aluminum for the frame, it's got Gorilla Glass Victus 2 protection at the back and at the front. It's IP68 certified for dust and waterproofing. It can be dunked up to 1.5 meters for 30 minutes. It's got the famous visor camera at the back, but this time it doesn't go all the way to the frame. It's narrower, and the colors are obsidian, porcelain, winter green and peony. I like peony particularly. The back is glossy, as I said before, it may draw some fingerprints. One-hand usage is definitely part of the package, much more than the Pixel 9 Pro XL, I would say. A pretty solid build, by the way. Now, when it comes to the screen, I would say it's something important to remember here, the fact that it's an OLED, not an LTPO OLED, just OLED. Very much like the one of the 9 Pro. 6.3 inch, 2424 over 1080 pixels, 120 Hz refresh rate, and HDR10 Plus support, up to 2700 nits of brightness, and 86.1 screen to body ratio. It's also got always on display, just so you know. Now, the CPU inside this phone, it's a famous Google Tensor G4. It's made by Samsung, just so you know. I wasn't sure about who made it when I tested and unboxed the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Well, now I'm sure. 4nm octa-core chip with a Mali G715MC7 GPU. Now, when it comes to RAM and all that, now the phone provides you with 12 gigs of, RAM, while the Pixel 9 Pro XL had 16 and the storage is 128 or 256, which is unlike the other models which offer a bit more. So it's, by the way, UFS 3.1. For some reason, Google decided not to use UFS 4.0 here, which is kind of a strange decision. Other things lacking from the phone: there's no microSD card slot, just so you know. There's no audio jack. There's no thermometer here at the back side. And there's also no ultra-wide band for some reason. You can see here some of the specs. It has stereo speakers, one is at the bottom here and the other one is the top one, the earpiece. And security is taken care of by the ultrasonic fingerprint scanner embedded in the screen. Yes, ultrasonic, not optical. When it comes to connectivity, the phone is fully spec'd with 5G, Wi-Fi 6E, Wi-Fi 7 even, Bluetooth 5.3, GPS dual band, NFC, and at the bottom here there is an USB-C 3.2 port. Be advised, don't put your SIM key here. It's a microphone, put it here. Sometimes it happens. Other specs include an accelerometer, gyroscope, proximity sensor, compass, and barometer, which are staples of the smartphone world. There's also the special satellite SOS system. As far as the battery is concerned, it's a 4700 mAh unit with 27 watts wired charging, with a promise of 55% reached in 30 minutes. There's also 15 watt wireless charging with a Pixel stand, and 12 watt wireless charging with a QI accessory. And you can put a smartphone here, a pair of headphones or a watch for reverse wireless charging. Now on the camera front, I have to mention the fact that this device here has a smaller cutout than the other models and also a smaller sensor. It's a 10.5 megapixel front camera sensor, unlike the 42 megapixel one of the Pro versions. It's an ultra-wide sensor, f2.2 aperture, HDR, 4K 60 frames per second capture, so yeah, there's that. At the back side, we're left with two cameras instead of the three of the Pro models. The main one is the 50 megapixel shooter with f1.7 aperture, dual pixel phase detection autofocus, and also this time a single zone, not multi-zone, laser autofocus. The other ones have multi-zone. And of course, optical image stabilization is here. Then we have the 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera with, 120-degree angle of capture. It has phase detection autofocus, when you mean autofocus, which means macro. We have a LED flash here, and this time there's no 8K capture. We're only stuck with 4K 60 frames per second capture, just so you know. The core of the options is here, including the brand new Add Me feature. With Add Me, you can take a photo of your friends, and then you can turn up next to them and appear in the shot by standing in the exact same place, and AI will, well, stitch you to it. We have panorama, obviously. We have night sight, which is basically a night mode. This is the photo mode with a bunch of tweaks. Well, not as many as the Pro models. Shadow, brightness, white balance. No ISO, no exposure, nothing like that. There's a portrait mode, of course. There's also Add Me and, of course, long exposure plus action pan, which is useful for fast moving objects. Other options are included here for night sight, top shot, which is basically sort of video, short video, where you can choose which frames are worth saving, timer, macro focus, and ratio. There are extra settings here for location, palm timer, social share, and so much more, including composition and even video stabilization plus audio zoom. This is all about the photo. When it comes to the video, you can go here and some extra options are included as well. There's 4K 60 frames per second, there's 10-bit HDR, there are two types of stabilization, there's lock, there's standard, and locked on a subject, there's macro focus for your videos, and of course speech enhancement if you're filming a vlog becomes quite useful. That's pretty much it camera wise. Of course there are other AI gimmicks which you'll enjoy. Speaking of AI, I think it's time to address the software. Here we're dealing with Android 14, not 15, with 7 years of Android updates, which is actually not that bad. And unlike the Pro models, this device doesn't come with Gemini Advanced bundled. So yeah, you should remember that. Gemini Advanced is not bundled here. You have to pay for it. You have to pay something like $20 per month. And Gemini is triggered just like Google Assistant was here. You can chat with it, it can handle your tasks, it gets help from Google Assistant. It's basically the replacement of Google Assistant. And if you activate the Gemini Advanced version, you're going to be able to input it up to 1,500 pages of documents. For example, you can have it read hundreds of emails from Gmail and summarize them. You can also give it commands via voice, via text, or even photos. You can take a photograph of your ingredients from the fridge. It will tell you recipes. It can help you explain concepts in a kid-friendly way. Write an essay about Cleopatra. That's just off the top of my head.
Cleopatra, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic kingdom of Egypt, is a figure shrouded in myth and legend. Her name is synonymous with beauty, intelligence, and political acumen, yet her life was marked by tragedy and loss. This essay...
Okay, so that was one of the things. You can also have it plan a trip if you're going abroad with all the stops, the prices, the check-ins, everything, all the suggestions you need. And once again, if you really want Gemini Advanced, you can probably activate it from here, and you'll be able to, well, you'll pay for it, unlike the other models which include it. Okay, so that's it pretty much AI wise. Of course, there's some AI sprinkled here and there. For example, you can do some heavy editing on the photos. I mean, if you choose a photo like this, you can go to the edit section, and there's a lot of magic happening here with AI. There are some suggestions like dynamic, enhance, color pop, black and white portrait. There's crop, there's tools, there's adjust, filters, markup, and more. Probably the most useful is the tools section, where there's magic eraser. You can erase people from the shot, you can blur or unblur your portrait photos, and so much more. Now here, for example, I'm pretty sure you can erase the people, so yeah, let's try this. Maybe tools, magic eraser. It's finding the suggestions. It's all AI, as I said before. Speaking of AI, check it out. It suggested that you can erase the people from the shot, and that it did. You can also camouflage some of the highlighted suggestions. Okay, there's also a feature called call notes. You can take notes while you're having a call, and also it can help you compose emails, write a letter to your boss, for example, write a weather invitation, a wedding invitation. Speaking of weather, there's a brand new Pixel weather application, which is more detailed now. It includes its own flavor of Gemini, and it can show you a more detailed prediction of what's coming, including a precipitation map, predictions, and so much more. Excessive heat warning, hourly forecast, 10-day forecast, precipitation, wind, humidity, and all that. And as I said before, the Weather Insight is relying on Gemini. There should also be a map here at some point showing me where precipitation is coming and how it's moving towards me. There's also something called Pixel Studio, which lets you generate an image using generative AI, and you can also find something like that in the wallpaper section. You can go here, more wallpapers, AI wallpaper, use a bunch of keywords and tweak them in order to generate your own flavor of AI. By the way, generative AI is available in Gemini Advanced, but only in Gemini Advanced, not the regular one. That's pretty much it. If you want a smaller phone with Gemini and a pretty, I would say, nifty package camera-wise, I can already tell that this model is able to fight the iPhone 15, and even I can predict the 16 properly camera-wise. The choice will be between CPUs. If the Tensor can defeat the Apple processor of the iPhone 16, will be interesting to see. They will be pretty close price-wise, but this one, I have to say, it's for the people who feel closer to Android and want to experience all the Android goodness of Android 15 and onwards. There are some things missing from the Pro to this model, quite more than expected, and I guess we have to wait and see if it can beat the iPhone 16 or not. For me, I like the fact that it's easier to handle. I see it as a rival more for Huawei Pura 70 rather than the iPhone 15, which I think it actually beats. That's it from us. Goodbye.